Hello and welcome to the interview series for the Healthcare Payment and Revenue Integrity Congress. Today I'm joined by Dale Carr, Director of Missouri Medicaid Audit and Compliance. Dale, it's a real pleasure to speak with you.
Good to see you again.
I know you spoke previously at our kind of inaugural Congress in Florida earlier this year. I believe alongside, was it Michael Taylor from Olivia Analytics? And
Yes.
It's a real pleasure to have you involved again in the Boston show coming up in September. Most people I come into contact, Dale, are aware of your work, aware of you within the field of kind of healthcare, FWA, program integrity, etc. So clearly you're a busy man, but for those that aren't aware of you and aren't familiar with your work, do you mind giving a sort of brief introduction?
Sure. Thank you very much, and happy to do that. So my name is Dale Carr, and I am the Director of Missouri Medicaid Audit and Compliance in Jefferson City, Missouri. By way of background, I was in the military. I was a special agent with the Coast Guard for 20 years. I was a police officer in Nevada for about 8 years. I did short stints with the U.S. Attorney's Office and the U.S. Office of Special Counsel. And then I moved to Missouri, and I joined Missouri Medicaid Audit and Compliance, and I've been here now for about 12 years, and I've been the director for the past 7 years. As far as Missouri Medicaid Audit and Compliance, basically what we do is we're responsible for program integrity for the Missouri Medicaid program. It's a $15 billion program. We have 71,000 enrolled providers within the state. My unit, we basically deal with providers at all times during their during the life of a provider, so to speak. We do the initial enrollment and credentialing. We do the 5-year revalidations of their enrollment, which is required by the federal government. We do the audits. We do investigations when we feel that there's fraud, waste, and abuse. We handle all of the administrative actions that are taken against any providers. So it's just kind of, again, the whole life of a provider there. We might sign them up, and a couple of years down the road, we might kick them out there, but we have our hands in it the whole time.
Amazing. Thanks for that. And yeah, when I first reached out about potentially speaking at the Boston show, you were quick to mention that the one thing you'd like to talk about is this sort of topic of effective coordination and how do we effectively coordinate multiple teams and departments, whether it's audits, SIU, provider sanctions, and I'll let you speak a bit more about this. But it seems as though very few payers are able to get these teams working together in the most effective way possible. And what are some of the things that you're implementing at Missouri, and where have you seen some success?
Well, I think that, again, I think that our situation might be somewhat unique. I mean, every state and U.S. territory has a Medicaid program, and they're all set up differently. And that could be, really, it's the same for private payers too. Managed care organizations, and what types of things might be contracted out to, for other people to do. And in this age of remote work, how spread out are people? So, my team right now is 81, or we're growing to 91 with 10 additional positions that the state gave us this during this past legislative season, but all 91 of those people are located in the same location, and we do not do any remote work. As much as my people might like to have that, we do not, and so everybody is here in the office. But that brings a lot of advantages with it. Again, a lot of organizations, they might have an enrollment and credentialing subcontracted out to someone. The auditing, I think most people do that in-house. The investigations, like your special investigations unit or other program integrity functions, those more likely in than out. And then on the back end, the people that are doing the administrative actions at the back end, whether it's recoupments or participation or payment suspensions or terminations of contracts or whatever, they may be in a different location too. So again, there's definite advantages to having everybody in the same location so that they can collaborate on a daily and weekly basis. It's something that works for us, and it's something that I kind of wanted to dive into a little bit deeper during the presentation in September.
Amazing. Yep. And my second question was really around sort of information sharing between payers, and it seems as though yeah, with regards to payment integrity and program integrity initiatives, there's oftentimes challenges associated with this exchange of information between payers and this kind of secret source and wanting to hold the kind of secret source. At Missouri, you're obviously kind of meeting with these payers that are contracted with the state fairly frequently, I'd imagine. And what are some of the things that you're trying in order to encourage this exchange of information? Completely appreciate that Missouri is each state is unique, but are there certain things that you're doing in Missouri? And yeah, could you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So again, and I realize that the vast majority of people that will be attending the conference are not Medicaid or state agencies. However, if they have a Medicaid line of business, and they're contracted with the state in some way, then what I have to say could apply. But we have 3 managed care organizations that are contracted with our state Medicaid agency here in Missouri, and so some of the things that we've done, which I really think that we were kind of leading the charge on nationwide, was getting all 3 of the special investigations units from all 3 plans to meet quarterly with our Medicaid fraud control unit at the Attorney General's office and with my team to not only training. There's a designated training portion of every one of those quarterly meetings, but it's also an opportunity to talk about trends, even talk about specific cases. So we encourage all the participants to, if they do have something to share, to give us the National Provider Provider Identifier, the NPI number of the provider ahead of time, so that everybody can research them before they show up at the meeting, rather than doing it as a takeaway, saying, "Hey, I heard something really interesting. Let's go back and research this." If you know it's going to be talked about at the meeting, then you have an opportunity beforehand to run some reports, do some checking to see whether you even have any exposure or not. Separately, the state Medicaid agency and my unit, Missouri Medicaid Audit Compliance, we meet with the each of the 3 plans separately and quarterly. So I think our next round is in September, I believe, is our next round of meetings. And so on 3 different dates and times, we'll meet with each plan separately. We have quite a mixture of people from the agency and from my unit, covering all of our responsible areas. And then with the plans, it's not just their SIU, but typically it's their the CEO, their compliance officers, and then if they want to bring in their SIU folks, if they want to bring in their auditors, if they're doing any kind of a participant type lock-in program or whatever, they're all welcome, basically, because it's very focused on what that specific managed care organization is doing to basically meet all the requirements of the contract. And again, every time that we do this, there's a built-in training component. So it's a standing agenda item, and we move it around. So one time it'll be the MCO that'll do the training. The next time it's the state Medicaid agency. The next time it might be my unit, and it might be the pharmacy officer from the state Medicaid agency that is talking about what they're doing, or we might be talking specifically about suspensions or terminations or something, whatever it is. But we find those to be very valuable, and I don't believe that the majority of the states are doing that with the plan. So those are a couple of things, but I'm a big believer in information sharing. Our the special investigations units and my investigators and all of my staff really feel free to go back and forth with each other, talk about anything we want to do, on their referrals. But we also encourage communication between the SIUs. They will reach out because we're in the Missouri market, and so if we're looking at a Missouri doctor, we want the SIUs to feel free, if they're so able, to reach out to the other two SIUs within that are in our state and talk about a specific provider if they want to do that. They don't need our permission to do that.
Mm-hmm. Great, and I think there's a lot of things there that other states and organizations can take away from that and learn from that. Great. My final question was really about the events themselves, and obviously I said before that you were involved in our Florida event, and we'll be speaking in September. Just what were some of the things that you enjoyed about the Florida event, and what are you looking forward to at the Boston event coming up?
Well, I think that first of all, the venue was fantastic. I mean, I really enjoyed. It was in Orlando, and it was at a very nice location, and the way that the conference was set up within the hotel, and the opportunities for networking and everything were all very well done. I felt that it was a more intimate type event than some of the really large program integrity revenue conferences that we all might go to, during the course of the year. I felt like it was kind of unique. I was the only person there from a state or a federal agency, and I know that that's different this year. That you have some more folks coming in from CMS and I believe from one of the Medicaid fraud control units and stuff, and I think that that's great. But again, I felt like I got the opportunity to meet a lot of people that I would have not otherwise met at any of the other conferences that I typically go to during the course of the year. And we all bring, based on our backgrounds, and I gave my background at the beginning, and I'm sure that my background is much different than most of the other people that will be attending the conference. But we learn things as we go through life, and we have those things to bring to our to bring to the conference with us. And this year, when I do my presentation there, I'm gonna bring a little military science with it. We're going to talk about force multipliers and sentinel effect, and these folks are going to go home and tell their significant other there that they learned something that they didn't, they probably weren't expecting to learn about there. But we can bring those experiences and we can tie them into what we're doing, and they have very real life applications for us. And so again, I'm really looking forward. I think that again, great venue. Boston's a nice place to go, and I'm really looking forward to attending the conference, doing my presentation, and listening to everybody else's presentations.
Amazing. Well, I'm really looking forward to having you there in Boston, Dale, and I'm sure everyone else is very excited to hear your presentation. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me, Dale. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to talk with you.